uh, David and his brother Ian. We had many fond memories and good times before we before they moved to Canada. I would like, I hope this works, because I'm not a great zoomer, but I'm gonna try to share some pictures as I talk tonight. So let's I hope this works. Um, if it doesn't, um, we'll just let me just see.
You should be able to share, Glyn. Let me know if you're having a problem and I can play with the settings here. There we go. We can see your screen.
Is that working for everybody? Yeah,
that's perfect.
Okay, so let's start. This is myself and my wife Hazel and my son Isaac and Julia, um, and we live right on the border between England and Scotland, and our home is just a couple of 100 yards from the ocean. So we spend a lot of time walking along the seafront. So it's a beautiful part of the world, and we really enjoy living here. This is, as the introduction said, I'm from Northern Ireland. This was our home farm in County Antrim, where we started our Lukefield Holstein herd, and again, a lot of great memories. And I think this is where a lot of my passion and enthusiasm for farming and for breeding was really born. My father was a really keen dairyman, and always keen to improve what we had, and was a great guy for cow families, and enjoyed traveling around the world. And I think that's a lot of great memories from our home farm. In the late 90s, similar to the Mathers, we sold our farm in Ireland, and we bought this farm in southwestern Ontario. This is just north of Brantford and Highway 24. This was a horse farm, and our family had plans to set up a really nice Holstein herd, but unfortunately that never happened, and it probably a lot to do with our quota, and we were nervous of the Canadian quota system. But I don't regret. I don't regret it. I really loved the time our family spent in Canada, the people that I met and the people that I got to learn from, really have had such a massive influence in my life and influence in my career. And I'm so grateful for the time that I spent in Canada. The what was I going to say? Yeah, and I even though I always regard myself as a very proud Irishman, I really feel Canada is a very dear place, and I find a lot of the friends that I made there I regard as family. I love the Canadian way of life. I love the Canadian people. I love the Canadian Holstein cow, and I think you guys should be very proud of your country and proud of the influence that your country has had on Holstein genetics and dairy farming across the world. It's regarded as number one everywhere you go. So going back to when I was a youth, this is me representing Northern Ireland at the All Britain Calf Show. I always had a great desire and enthusiasm to succeed in the show ring, and this is me winning senior handler, and I was reserve senior showman that year. So sort of similar to what you guys have in the Hayes Classic. So that's me in my early days, and something I really enjoyed and was proud of. And I would like to encourage you guys to really try hard. I know COVID will probably have been a very frustrating time for you guys, and you'll be looking forward to getting back to the show ring and getting your projects this year. But do your best and have fun. Always have fun. And during my time in Canada, I was very fortunate to met some great people. Don Roundtree, you guys are probably too young to know who Don Roundtree was, but he was a very influential Canadian breeder, a very influential marketer of Canadian genetics, and he was the guy that originally got me to Canada, and he introduced me to the Garner family. They farmed down in Woodstock in Oxford County, and these people, I regard them as my second family. Just very, very, very nice people, and they came and visited and stayed with us a few years ago, and they introduced me to a lot of great people and taught me how to clip and fit cattle. And this is me clipping at Madison before the new barns were built at Madison. This is Sharon S.Y. Delilah. She was an All-American that year. And another guy that was very influential in teaching me a lot of stuff was this guy here, David Brown, the guy on the halter. David Brown was from Sharon Holsteins. He was the son of Robert Brown from Paris, from the Browndale herd. And I've spent a lot of time with the Brown family, just wonderful people. And David was a very talented cowman. This cow here in the picture, this is at the European show. I forget the year. I think it was late 90s. And I found this is a French cow. The guy standing beside David is a guy called Philippe Deroux from the middle of France. And we found this cow just a couple of very short time before the show. And she was the European champion that year. Just a beautiful cow with a complete French pedigree. This is another. I was very fortunate in my travels. David Brown introduced me to a lot of people, and I was fortunate enough to get to travel around the world, fitting cattle. And when I was in Spain, this is a bad picture. I should have put a better picture of this cow. This was a beautiful cow. This was called Quintina Melissa Grand. And I found this cow along with my friend here, Oscar, as a 2-year-old. And we purchased her with the syndicate here. There's Peter Kingston from Ireland, and the tall gentleman in the back is my friend Roy Beattie, who sadly passed away recently. But we purchased this cow. She was national champion in Spain as a 2-year-old, the only cow to do that. And then she was exported to Ireland, where she went on to be national champion twice in Ireland. And then she went back to Italy. This is the European show at the turn of the century, the first European show, where she was grand champion in Italy. And again, she went back to the next European show where she was champion in Brussels. And you can see a very well-known Ontario guy on the halter there, David Diamond. David came over to show Melissa for us that year. So a beautiful cow, and a cow that I have a lot of great memories with. Another I think this is the ultimate in showing cattle, when you can prepare grand champions at Madison. And I've been fortunate enough to have had the chance to prepare several wonderful cows at Madison. Quite a few of them were owned by Richard Green, who's in this picture. You can see another few great guys there from Ontario, Barclay Phoenix, you'll know that guy, and Greg McLean in the background. So a lot of great friends there that I have from Ontario. And that the red cow, I think this was 2007. No, 2006, and that's the Karamak cow. But yeah, Madison is a special place, and I'm looking forward to getting back there this year. This is another wonderful cow from Cumbria, from the north of England. And this is her winning the national champion in 2007 in England. Very, very impressive cow. This picture appeared in the CMX calendar that year. She was a lister, bred from a storm, and again has had a really big impact in the UK. We flushed her to Goldwyn, and all her Goldwyn daughters went excellent. Some of the very better ones breeding on. So her granddaughters and great granddaughters continue to have a really nice impact. It's wonderful to see these great cows breeding on. Another cow that I have a lot of very fond memories with is Castle Verde Chief Mark Susie in this picture. She was a very famous Italian cow. This is her as a 14-year-old cow being supreme champion at the European show in Bergamo in the north of Italy. And again, you can see another, I don't know if you know this guy, he's from Ontario here. This is Josh McKay. think Josh, I haven't been in touch with Josh for a few years, but I think he's successfully farming at home now. Yeah. And you'll probably have recognized this guy. This guy travels to Canada quite a bit. The owner of the cow, Giuseppe Quini from the Castle Verde herd. But yeah, this cow has had a massive impact in the Italian Holstein breed. She was a number one LPI cow. That's the Italian index, as well as being a show cow. So just a cow that's been very enjoyable to work with. This is one of my favorite pictures in my career. This is the Bailey Show. Anyone who ever wants to visit Ireland, make sure you visit Ireland in August and make sure you go to the Bailey Show. I know you're probably all too young to enjoy Baileys and whiskey, but when you are old enough, go to this show because it's a wonderful event with copious amounts of Baileys. And the drinks company, they sponsored the event. They're from they have the Bailey's factory close to the show, and this is my good friend Cyril Dowling from Dublin. And the cow on the right was a cow that we exported from Western Canada, and Cyril bred the white cow, and that's him winning champion in reserve at the famous show in Ireland. And I don't think it's ever been done since or before. I just love the joy you can see in Cyril's face when we won champion in reserve that day. I love selling great cows, and that's the beautiful part about my business. And this is the National Holstein Show in England, and this is the senior champions. And I was fortunate enough to be involved in selling all three of these wonderful cows. This is the same cow. This was a Lavengard Jazz cow. This is her in 2019. And there hasn't been a national show since because of the COVID lockdowns. So she's still the reigning champion cow. And again, just a beautiful cow with an impressive pedigree. And we've had the chance to market some of her daughters as well. And she's making a big impact in the breed as well. But just a beautiful cow and a real pleasure to be on the halter with. But let's get back to what I do today. My main business is auctioneering and marketing cattle. I started into the sales business back in 2002 when I attended the auction college in Mason City, Iowa. I qualified for an auctioneer that year and was hoping to get into the sales business in Canada. I was still living in Canada at the time. And I was then contacted by the company that I worked for in the north of England if I would be interested to come and manage the dairy sales with them. And I thought this was a wonderful opportunity. And I also was in the process of getting married to my wife, Hazel, from Ireland. So all of it fitted together. So I decided to, as much as I really sometimes, I don't never regret things, but I still really sometimes wish that I had maybe stayed in Canada. But I love what I do. I just want to show you a little bit of our business. This is our sale barn, just 10 miles south of the Scottish border. You can see it's quite, all of these buildings here are where we I think it's really like a stockyard, what you call a stockyard in Ontario. We use this on a weekly basis to market commercial stock of beef and sheep and dairy. So it's a big site. That's it from another angle, and that's what a typical dairy sale looks like. This was from a few weeks ago in one of our pedigree sales. We have, I think of a video. Let me see if I can play a video just to show you a little bit of, I hope this works. I'm just going to play this for a second or two. Yeah. So getting back, I hope that give you a little bit of an insight of what our company does. It's a large livestock marketing company. This year we surpassed hello. Yeah, I'm still working. Yeah. This year we surpassed records. We sold over 1 million head of livestock, which is a great achievement for our young team. We've got a great young team of salespeople, and we work over 9 auction centers. But this center is our main center, and we market commercial stock, and we also market the very top end stock. We hold most of the breed records for all pedigree stock, whether it be Limousin cattle or Suffolk sheep or Texel sheep or Holstein cattle or Jerseys. So we pride ourselves in selling the very best, and also on a commercial basis. And we also pride ourselves that we're the largest livestock marketing company in Europe. We also, I really enjoy farm sales, and this is one of the first on-farm sales that I conducted when I started the business. This is just outside the town of Lockerbie. You'll have heard about Lockerbie in the past, a famous town for bad reasons. But this was during a time of a bit of a depression during the dairy industry, and not many animals were making 1,500 at the time. So the owner decided he would give a bottle of whiskey to every purchaser of animals that made over 1,500 pounds. And he bought 50 bottles of whiskey, and we ran out of whiskey at lot 100. So it was a wonderful sale, with a lot of great memories. This was a sale that we conducted last February, just before lockdown happened in Ireland. This is the largest dairy sale that's been conducted in British Isles. We sold 1,897 dairy cows in 3 days. This farm is very close to where David and Ian Mathers farmed in Northern Ireland. This is just in Donegal. And we had a big organization, a lot of organization went into setting up the sale. But yeah, it went very, very well. So yeah. My passion in the sales business is for elite pedigree stock. And over the years, I've always strived to create new sales, create new platforms for breeders. I think it's important that we create these events so that breeders get the very most for their livestock. In 2005, the UK's borders were closed. We couldn't export any animals outside the United Kingdom because of the BSE crisis that happened back in the 90s. So in 2005, there was a lot of negotiations taking place. So I set up the X Factor sale. This was our second X Factor sale, and I was in the hope that our borders would open. So I was a little bit of luck involved. The borders opened the week before our sale, and that's when we started to export outside the UK. This was an early Jordan daughter. This is the second X Factor sale. She went to a farmer in Spain. She went on to be junior champion, and I looked her pedigree up recently. She ended up going 95 points, and that's this cow family originated. I think this cow family goes back to High Point Holstein, so it's a really nice pedigree. So really close links with some great breeders in Ontario. The X Factor sale was really important. It opened a lot of doors for UK breeders. This heifer was a September Storm daughter. She was sold in our first X Factor sale in 2006. She was from the Roxy cow family. She went to a breeder in Italy, and this was me going back in 2007 to show her. And she was junior champion at the European show under Brian Kerskaden's judging. we exported cattle all across Europe from these sales initially into North Africa. So it was a great way when our borders opened again to make new markets. Another sale that I really had fun starting was the Red Ribbon sale. This was during our National Holstein show. This is our sale crew. The Atwood daughter in the picture, she was a senior 2-year-old at the time. She was a great granddaughter of Altitude, the Dam of Apple. She went on to be all Britain senior 2-year-old that year. And the jersey that night, Bluegrass, Vindication, Harp, beautiful young 2-year-old. And she broke the Jersey breed record, which still stands today. And again, she went on to be 3 times grand champion at UK Dairy Expo. Our flagship sale is our black and white sale. We stage this sale every year on the first weekend in December. Over the years, I think I was very fortunate to inherit this event from when I took over the sales business at H&H. And this has been a very influential sale. I think 35 years it's been running now. And yeah, it continues to market the very best Holstein and Jersey cattle in the UK. And again, we're fortunate enough to be able to export cattle to several countries through this event. This is one of the top prices. I think this was the 2013. This was the 2013 top price. This was a granddaughter of Eastside Gold Missy, that great cow that was bred by the Thompson family up in Prince Edward Island. So yeah, nice heifer. COVID has brought challenges to our life. I know you guys are going through similar problems in Canada and probably like the rest of the world. On the 23rd of March last year, we were having live sales, and that evening our Prime Minister closed the country down. I was preparing for a dispersal sale for very good friends of ours on the 25th of March, and everything came to a halt that week. We didn't know what we could do, but COVID has it's been very difficult, but in a way it's forced us into doing things that we were only thinking about doing, probably forced us into doing things that we were a little bit nervous possibly to do. So we stopped sales that week. We had a lot of very robust negotiations with government during those days, and we were able enough to start up our live sales. So we only missed a few days of selling, and the following Monday we started live sales again under very strict regulation. But it did force us into having online bidding. So all of our live sales from lockdown, buyers had the opportunity not to travel, and they bid online. So from that time in March, all of my sales now, dairy sales, 37% of all the purchases made have been made online. So that's been a massive change for us in the last sort of 15 months. And I think that will continue. It may not continue at the same level, but we have got better. And I think it has opened up our business to new customers and different customers. So that's been one of the, if you can say, I don't know if there's any positives, but that's been one of the positives possibly to come out of the COVID lockdown. It's forced us into looking at our business. And this is another part of COVID. This a little bit like an eBay auction system, an online timed auction. We've run several of these sales, and I think they work really good for elite cattle, elite sheep. We run a lot of these now. It's a little bit like your tag sale system that's popular in Canada, but purely online. This was our most recent online sale, the Global Connection sale. And again, we connected with breeders from all around the world, with bidders from New Zealand, Australia, US. I was sad not to have any Canadian bidders, but it opens up the world to your marketplace. So that's been another thing to come out of COVID. You won't, these next slides won't mean a lot to you, but I'm a big believer in people. This is a people's business. It's the one thing that makes cattle breeding business special. And I'm just going to flick through them, just showing you the importance of how I really love working with people, the fun in the business. This guy a few years ago didn't even like, he was a dairy farmer, but had no interest in showing cattle pedigree business. I stole him one really good cow. And from that, he just fell in love with the business. He built this beautiful barn, and he's one of the top breeders in the UK now. Robert Veach. This is another beautiful young 2-year-old that we sold. It was shown at our first UK Dairy Expo with my good friend Yasmin Bradbury and her granddaughter. Just love that picture. These are good friends of ours from Northern Ireland, the Haffey family. This is with a daughter of a cow that I sold them, that she ended up being the number one PTA heifer for a couple of proof runs. This young guy, this is a young guy. If you want to be successful in life, guys, be passionate and be enthusiastic. This guy is 83 years old this year. This is him last year. We were picturing some cattle at the farm, but you can see the passion. This guy's called Jamie Fisher. I just love spending time with him because he's got the enthusiasm of a 21-year-old. You can see he just, every day you meet him, he's smiling and he just loves the business. And if you can remember anything that I say tonight, be passionate and be enthusiastic about what you do. This is from the Homeland. This is Stephen and Patricia Bell from the Homeland Holstein herd, really good friends and very successful breeders. Again, I just love to get a day out on the road, and this is the day of picturing. Recently, we're having a big dispersal sale, the final chapter sale in a few weeks' time of the Sterndale Holstein herd, and this is us with our team, some more great friends from Lancashire, and this is the sale that we're having in a few days' time, the Willsboro Spring Sale, and this is our picturing crew, and this is a Lotomax Roxy cow, again going back to I think I sold her 3rd, 4th dam to these guys. So I just love the people in this business, and even though we're spread all over the world, it's a very, very small world. One of the things I'm really proud about, I think I'm very proud about, in 2010, the UK was going through a very difficult period. We had lost the Royal Show. The Royal Show used to be the 3rd largest Holstein show in the world after Madison and the Royal. Our national Holstein show had stopped. There was difficulties and the marketplace had become stagnant. A lot of our breeders hadn't got a platform to market and promote their best cattle at shows. And I just felt the desire to start a show. We needed a show. So I founded UK Dairy Expo. In 2012, we had our first show. I spent just over a year and a half planning and getting things in place. And this is now the largest dairy show in the United Kingdom. Our last show in 2020, this was 2020, just in the middle. It was a lot of people couldn't travel. There was already some restrictions for lockdown when this took place in March last year. And we had Jan Jacobs from the firm Jacobs judging the Holstein show, and almost 600 head of cattle attended the show. So this has been a very successful event, and it's been a great platform. And not only has it, I think it's really rejuvenated the pedigree business and breeders in the UK, and it's also encouraged lots of other events to develop their show. Now we have a very successful national show as well. We use our whole site for trade stands as well. So it's not just a livestock show, but a very successful business event as well. And we're looking forward. We didn't have it this year because of the restrictions of people movement, but in 2022 we will be having our 10th anniversary show. So something to look forward to. Again, this is in 2019. This was our champion at UK Dairy Expo. And again, a cow that I sold to the Riverdale herd as a 3-year-old. And again, very proud that she went on to develop into a fantastic cow. She's a granddaughter of Tri-Day Ashland, that great Encore daughter that was a champion of both Madison and the Royal Show in 2001. And this is our management. This, you can see Carl Saucier from Quebec. He was the Holstein judge. You can see Molly Sloan from Wisconsin. She was our Jersey judge. And the people on the left are some of our management team at the livestock company. Judging has been something that I've always wanted to get into, and I've been fortunate enough to get the opportunities to judge around the United Kingdom and Ireland and in Europe. I'll just show you a couple of pictures from shows. That this is the Bath and West down in the southwest of England. A lot of these summer shows are held outside. I think some of the interior shows will still be held outside, but when it's great weather, there is nothing nicer than showing outside. This is the Welsh National a few years ago. And this is the junior champion from the Welsh National, another heifer that went on to be All Britain, that we sold in one of our earlier black and white sales the year before. And I think one of my proudest moments, I had a phone call from Barclay Phoenix a few years ago, and he invited me to be his associate judge at Swiss Expo. I would really encourage you, if you ever get the chance to visit Swiss Expo. I think Madison and the Royal Show are, beautiful cow shows, and they are the best as far as quality is concerned. But as far as a show and theater and drama and atmosphere, there is no better cow show in the world than Swiss Expo. It has to be attended, it has to be seen to be believed. And I'm really grateful that Barclay gave me the opportunity to be in the middle of the ring with them that day. You can just see the crowd. When you make, this is me tapping out the best udder at the show that day. And when you tap them out, there's about 300, 400 people just run onto the shavings. So no, that's been my highlight for judging, being involved with Swiss Expo. And I'm really looking forward to judging associate judge this year at Madison and the Guernsey show. So again, I'm really looking forward to that. But getting back to the auction business, this is me selling at one of our dairy sales. I continue to still enjoy showing, and I'm a big believer. I get a lot of people to help me out. You can't do it on your own. We have a really successful team, but I'm a big believer. And no matter what you do, whether you're on the halter end or whether you're on the bucket end, do it with a smile and do it to your very best, because everything that gets done, it's done by a team. And this is another young cow that we owned a few years ago that was a super cow, a super 2-year-old up at Agri-Scott in England. I put this picture in, guys, because you've had a lockdown, you haven't maybe had your 4-H projects happening, but when you do, not every day is going to be perfect and not everything's going to work out. But when it doesn't, don't give up, smile and get back up and have fun. This is just the Jazz cow again. Just a really, I've always really enjoyed working with this cow since she was a 2-year-old. Passion. Be passionate about what you do. This is a good friend of mine. We sold him this jersey, and this is him winning Jersey champion at UK Dairy Expo a few years ago. So be passionate and enthusiastic about what you do. And to finish it off, don't be scared to get into new things. A few years ago when I was in Switzerland, we've seen these beautiful Swiss sheep. They're called Swiss Valley Black Nose, and we brought them over to Ireland and the UK. And this is a little bit of a hobby that I do a couple of times during the year. Beautiful little sheep like teddy bears. So I hope that's been incited. I hope that's been enjoyable. I hope you understand a little bit about what we do, and I'd love to have a chat with you guys and answer some of your questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Lucas. That was really interesting. So I'm going to open it up to questions now. So again, there's two ways you can ask questions for our 4-H members. You can type your question in the chat box, or you can ask your question yourself by unmuting yourself and asking your questions directly to Mr. Lucas. There is if you're on a computer at the bottom of the screen, there's a tab that says reactions, and if you click on that tab, there's actually an option to raise your hand. So you can raise your hand and I can acknowledge you that way, or you can also just unmute yourself and ask questions. So do we have any brave 4-H'er that wants to get us started with questions today? We'll wait a minute while folks are typing or getting ready to unmute themselves.
Raise up your hand. Or...
Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead.
How many cows do you auction off at your auctions?
So this year we broke the 1 million barrier for the first time, and that includes sheep and cattle. Up until that, it had been just over 800,000. So yeah, we've had a very busy 12 months since lockdown, probably because a few companies stopped operating, but to break the 1 million barrier was quite an achievement. But I think with dairy cattle, I normally sell just over 10,000 dairy cattle per year.
Thank you.
Great question, Liam. Thanks for getting us started. A few questions coming in our chat. So the first one is there a judging program that young members can participate in to gain judging experience?
Is that a question for the UK, or is that it?
Yeah, I think from your experience in the UK,
we have a wonderful young breeders program here, very similar to what you guys have in Canada. It's not called 4-H, it's called Young Breeders Association, and that's ran in partnership with the Holstein Association. Again, very similar setup with clubs, and then each club, our club is the Border and Lakeland Club. We have 3 judging field days every year, where all of the young people are split up into 3 different age brackets. Then the top judges from each age group, they get to go then and represent the club at a national judging final, and that takes place in September. So it's and our club, because our club is one of the biggest in the country, and when I started, I also run a monthly dairy sale. I run a monthly dairy sale in partnership with our Holstein club. So from the money, I share the commission with the club every year, and we run a couple of scholarships. So the top judges each year, we give them a sponsorship to go to travel to Madison, or travel to Swiss Expo, or travel to somewhere where they can attend an event. So I'm a big believer in putting money back into youth. So not every club's fortunate enough to get those sort of prizes, but that's a pretty cool prize to get to travel anywhere in the world. And that's all on the back of our dairy sales. So that's great.
Excellent. Peyton, why don't we go, Peyton from Frontenac County, why don't we go over to you for a question?
What made you want to get into the auctioning business?
Ever since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, That's a good Irish saying. Do you ever hear that one? Knee high to a grasshopper? But ever since I was young, we sold dairy cattle on a weekly basis, and I was always intrigued. I used to just love watching the auctioneer. And I can always remember either wanting to be a farmer or an auctioneer or a vet. And I love the theater. I love the excitement of it. And I think David will definitely remember when we were younger, all the fun and games that I had imitating auctioneers from around the world. And probably my favorite auctioneers were always the ones from North America. I have a very great memories of Bob Shore and Hardy Shore selling cattle. I've got recordings of Bob and Hardy selling some of the all-time great cows, and I listen to them very fondly at times. So yeah, I think I've just always been attracted to the theater and to the fun of it.
Great answer. What is the top selling cow that you've ever sold?
My top seller is 75,000. It was a daughter of Wabash Way, Emily Ann. She was the number one GTPI cow at the time, and it was one of her planet daughters. Our record in our sales center is 250,000, which happened a couple of weeks ago, and that was for a limousine yearling heifer. And that's the UK record for a bovine animal, and she was called Posh Spice, but a beautiful limousine heifer. So that's the record price in the United Kingdom for a bovine, $250,000, which will be that will be just over $500,000 Canadian dollars. Yeah.
Posh Spice is a great name too.
Yeah.
We have a bunch more questions coming in here, but I'm going to go over. I'm not sure what your name is. It says Susan's iPad.
Hi, my name's Ben. My question is, where do you see your industry in 5 years?
Really good question. Because we have strategy meetings about that on a daily basis, and if I probably knew the answer to that, probably would be quite wealthy. I think we've seen a massive change in the last 15 months. People couldn't travel. Traveling was restricted. We couldn't fill our sale barn with people. On our normal sales, we would have 300-400 people attending, and the most that we could have was 52. And we were under not only strict regulations, but we wanted to be, we had responsibility to keep our staff safe and keep our customers safe during COVID. So it really made us get together, and we had to think quickly, and we had to make decisive decisions. And I think having online bidding for our live auctions has been so important. And also staging online sales has been so important, and I think that will continue. I also think so much of our livestock is marketed through the live ring, and I don't know, we have a slightly different system in the UK for marketing our products like milk, and we don't have the protection of a quota system. Either for our milk or for our poultry and pigs. And I would like you guys are the future of your industry, no matter what part of agriculture you will be in. And I'd like to encourage you to fight and never let the quota system in Canada be undermined, because if you guys fight for it and keep it strong, you guys will always have a strong industry. Because when that gets undermined, it will be a much more difficult and a much more cutthroat market to take place in. So, to answer your question, where will the livestock marketing business be in 5 years' time? I think marketing the most elite cattle of all breeds, whether it's dairy or beef, it'll become more important to have a very strong live auction system for marketing them. On the more commercial side, I think we'll have to continue to, I think that will probably go more online when we're dealing with supermarkets, and they're probably going to want to buy more online.
Great question, Ben. Thank you. The next question is from Stella from Frontenac, and she wants to know how long it took you to become an auctioneer.
I think I'm still becoming one. I think no matter what you do, you always, every sale you learn something new. You always want to improve. And it took me a couple of years. The auction college in Mason City, Iowa, was a really great experience. They had some of the great world champion auctioneers as coaches and mentors and lecturers there. So that was really good. And I suppose that was a short time at auction college, and I suppose we qualified and you're an auctioneer. But I think it takes quite a number of years to really become comfortable and really become to know your customers, to know your clients, and to know who you're selling to. The enjoyable part, the easy part of being an auctioneer is actually the auction day and selling, and that's probably the most enjoyable part of the job. But it's all the work that you have to put in behind the scenes is where all the work. Nobody sees that work. You spend all day on the phone speaking to buyers and sellers and selecting good cattle. But the actual day of the auction is the enjoyable part.
All right, we're going to go over to Mackenzie from Frontenac.
Do you only sell Holsteins, or do you do other types of animals too?
No, I manage all the dairy sales. Holstein cattle is the biggest breed in the UK, similar to Canada. But we sell a lot of Jerseys and we sell a lot of Ayrshires in our area. We do have smaller numbers of brown Swiss. We've got smaller numbers of milking Shorthorns. But yeah, so we sell all breeds. But those three breeds are our main breeds: Holstein, Jersey, and Ayrshire.
All right, and Cooper and Callum, did you guys have a question or did it get asked?
What's your highest excellent cow that you've had at your farm?
All right, just say that again, Cooper.
What's your highest excellent cow that you've had at your farm?
At our farm was 94 point cow. But luckily we've been able to sell. We've sold 197. We've sold 296s. So, yeah.
So we have a few questions wondering about what's the top selling breed and which breed do you prefer to sell?
I love selling Holstein cattle. I think that's where my passion is, and that's where my knowledge of the breed is. I feel very comfortable talking about pedigrees and sires and cow families. So that's what I'm probably most passionate about. I do really love the Jersey business. That continues to grow in the UK, the Jersey business. I get a little bit frustrated in the Jersey business because I just feel the breeders sometimes, all of the top jerseys I've sold all of the top price jerseys in the last sort of 15 years, and I've sold them to Holstein breeders. And I just feel that I would like to see the Jersey business be bigger than it is in the UK. That's probably I get a little bit frustrated that I don't see more Jersey breeders get into some of these really good cow families in the Jersey breed. But I don't have the time. I really love the beef business. Yeah, I love the limousine business over here. I love the British Blue. I love the Angus breed, but I don't have the time to do that. And we have a lot of really, really good young auctioneers in our team that are really developing into really fine auctioneers, and they're taking those roles, but by the scruff of the neck. But I do, the Limousin breed is it's a French breed, but it's been developed in the UK. It's a beautiful beef breed, but I just don't have the time to really get to specialize in it.
Great answer. You kept all our, we have a lot of Jersey folks on the line and a lot of Holstein folks and probably even some beef farmers. So good way to cover the bases as you gave that answer. Next, we'll go over to Megan from Peterborough.
Hi, my question was, what is the embryo market like in Ireland? Are you selling a lot of cows that are imported embryo calves or cows, or are people flushing their own cows a lot, or is a lot of it natural?
Embryo business is big. Yeah, a lot of our breeders are importing embryos from North America. Hello. Yeah. So no, that's really good. A lot of our breeders as well are doing flushing all the top animals over here. IVF hasn't really taken off in the UK the way it has in North America. And I think I buy a lot of embryos and sell them on to breeders from, and the IVF embryo it's a little bit tricky. We don't get the results. We don't get the conception rates and the pregnancy rates that we get with the conventional eggs. But that's what the North American breeders are mostly using. It's difficult to buy conventional embryos now, but that's the embryo market is really, really huge, and it's a great way to get into cow families. I would love the live market to be back. There's nothing I enjoyed more than importing live cattle from Canada. That's where I got a big buzz from. The last 4 Holstein cattle to come in from Canada, I brought them in 2014, and they were all bred at High Point, 4 heifers from High Point, and that was a blast. They arrived at Heathrow Airport the Sunday before UK Dairy Expo, and we drove down that Sunday, picked them up, and we won the senior 2-year-old senior yearling class from one of the heifers from High Point, and Mike Smith and Barclay had a lot of fun visiting the UK that week. They were little rascals.
You talked about bringing cattle in from Canada to the UK, but do you ever export animals to North America?
No, we haven't, and I think it's difficult. It can be done, but our health status here, there's a lot of bureaucracy involved. There was a Jersey that was exported to North America a couple of years ago from Australia, but I would like to see that happen, because I would like to see our best competing at the Royal or competing at Madison, and I think it will now the UK have left Europe. We're doing deals now with Canada on our own basis. We've done a big deal this week with Australia, and we in the process of doing some really good trade deals with Canada and the US. So I think those type of things from a UK perspective are going to happen now that we are outside the European Union. The European Union was originally a wonderful idea, but it was drowning in bureaucracy, and we're now on our own. We're going to do great deals with all countries on an individual basis. So I can see in the next 5 years a cow from the UK competing at the Royal or Madison, and that's what I'm really looking forward to, because that will open a lot of doors, and it will be quite exciting.
Excellent. Back to Peyton with another question.
What is your favorite show that you've been to in Europe and in North America?
My favorite show in North America is World Dairy Expo. It has just some great memories. I don't think there's a show in the world that competes on quality. And I know you guys will maybe be a bit mad at me saying that when you get the Royal Show, but Madison is a special show. The quality, every year you go there, does it get better every year? Maybe not every year, but some years it's just phenomenal to see, 18th senior 2-year-old in the Holstein show at the World Dairy Expo. Is just a beautiful young guy, and 10th place 4-year-old. So that for depth and quality, World Dairy Expo is a phenomenal event, and that goes for all the breeds, whether it's the Jersey or the Swiss. I even find myself watching the Guernsey show at World Dairy Expo. It's just a great event. I love the Royal. I love the Royal show, but probably my favorite show in the world, and it's not for the quality cattle, but the quality cattle are amazing. It's just for the whole package. It's Swiss Expo. I really would encourage you guys to go there. I find the North American shows, they're a little bit quiet. People don't go crazy. People aren't shouting and screaming, and but at Swiss Expo, the European shows, it's wild. It's like a soccer match. When they tap out the senior 2-year-old, there's beer flying in the air and people are going nuts. And that's what I think is great. People have fun. It's like attending a sporting event. And I think if I was change anything about the North American shows, I would try to get that passion and enthusiasm that they have at Swiss Expo. Even if you had 10% of it at the Royal or Madison, it would be a completely different event.
Well, I have a feeling we've probably got about 85 4-H members on the line. So if you lead the pack next time you're at the Royal, all these 4-H members on the line will follow you and make sure we cheer and create some ruckus.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Go crazy.
A few more questions coming in here, and I know it's quite late where you are, but we have a few more questions. So this is an interesting question, and it's back to sort of the cattle auction business. Do you ever sell cows that are hurt?
Really good question. I think the answer is no. I think we have huge responsibility to look after the animals to the best of our ability. We also have a huge responsibility as an industry, as a livestock market industry, to protect it. We are under a huge amount of scrutiny, not just from animal rights people, but from the public. And I always tell our team that the public are our customers. We're a little bit disconnected from our customers in farming nowadays, but the public are our sales barn. It's open to the public. So if there's an animal that arrives in our market that's lame or that's not in great condition, we have an isolation unit that we take them to, but they're never sold, and they'll be returned to the farmer. We'll get a vet. We normally have a vet on site for most of our sales, because on a Monday and a Wednesday we're handling normally 1,500 head of cattle. So it's quite a busy place. So I don't think we don't sell animals that are hurt. We do receive animals in our market that are lame and sometimes not in great condition, but we get them treated as quickly as we can. But I think we all have a responsibility, whether we're selling cattle or whether we're raising cattle, to do it to an incredibly high standard. And I think we need to be proud of that and share what we're doing with the public, because they're our customers and the consumers.
Great answer. The next question is, if you were to give any advice on marketing, what would that advice be?
Marketing is a huge thing, isn't it? One piece of advice for marketing. Yeah. You know what? There's not one answer for marketing. Marketing is such a huge, wide thing, and we spend a lot of time doing it. And with social media nowadays and online, marketing has become marketing used to be really simple. If you look back in the olden days, you guys, if you remember Hanover Hill, they had a very, very simple, effective marketing ploy. They had the back page of the Holstein Journal. I think it was the back page of the Holstein Journal every month. And everybody around the world, I remember when I was growing up, there was no Facebook, there was no mobile phones, but there was a Holstein Journal that came every month. And me and my brothers used to fight over it because there was only one came to our house. But we used to read it from front to back. And by the following month, we knew the journal inside out. So it was a very simple, if it was 20 years ago, what should you do? What's the best way to market cattle? Would be to buy the back page of the Holstein Journal every month, but there isn't even a Holstein Journal anymore. Marketing now is a vast subject. I think you need to become proactive on social media platforms, whether it's Instagram or whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook or whether it's Snapchat. If you have the time to do all of them, that's probably what I would say to do. It needs to be done in a very positive way. I think marketing pedigree livestock now, people want to see natural pictures. In the past, we spent a lot of, and we still spend a lot of money on professional shots. I hope Patty Jones isn't on here. Is she still on 4-H? No, she's left 4-H. Okay, but no, professional shots are so important. But if you look at what Firm Jacobs do now, and a lot of our farms over here, they'll send, and I have a photographer, Richard Hodson. He's a little bit like Carl Saucier. So we wash the animals the day before, we put them in the free stalls, and then we go in the next morning when they're full, and we take what I would call natural pictures. And I think they're a lot more effective than a professional shot nowadays. When we produce catalogs, they're pretty much all professional shots. But the first thing that a buyer does when he calls me up, he goes, "Yeah, Glyn, lot number 25, what's she like?" And I say, "Well, she's pictured in the catalog." "Yeah, but what's she like? I want a real picture." When you get buyers asking for real pictures, you have to start to think, why have I spent $150 on a professional shot? So we spend a lot of time taking natural pictures, but in a professional way. And that's probably what I would probably say if you guys are getting into marketing and promoting your heifers and promoting your best cattle. Still spend the time and the money to take professional shots, but also put a lot of effort and thought into taking high quality natural pictures of the animals in a tie stall or in the free stall. So that's probably the thing that I've seen change in the last few years is the pictures. People want real pictures. And videos. Videos are another really, really effective way of marketing. Also, on your Facebook, on your Instagram pages, analyze how people use them. Sometimes a post with 5 or 6 pictures is more effective than a video. So that you need to keep. I always encourage our team, once a month we do a little bit of an analysis on how people are using our social media platforms, and there's generally a trend that you see, and we make decisions and change our posts according to the trends that are coming through on a monthly basis.
All right. We'll make sure to pass along to Patty that you thought maybe she was still 4-H age for sure. Another question here. So as young people who are enthusiastic in the dairy industry, you've done a lot of different things, traveled to other countries and met lots of people. How would you recommend we go about building a network of different people in the dairy industry?
I think you just gotta pack your bag and go. I was very fortunate to have the likes of Don Roundtree. He was selling embryos back in the 80s. He was a great guy, and he used to come over and stay with us, and he used to just say, yeah, when you leave school, you got to go to Canada. And I didn't. Yes. So that's what I did. When I left school, I went to Canada, and Don got me a job. And I really would encourage you guys, just, leave home and go to college, but make sure you take a year out and go and work for other people, because your mom and dad are great farmers. Do you know what? But they don't all do everything. Don't farm exactly the way your mom and dad farm. Go and see something different, because travel is one of the best universities you'll ever attend. And I think that's college for me was great, but the things that have really influenced my life has been through travel and meeting great people and interesting people. So the University of Travel is wonderful. And the breeding world, the Holstein world, the Jersey business, it's a very small world. And nowadays you can get into contact with a lot of people. And if you want to go and travel, work in the UK, work in Spain, work in Italy, work in Australia, it's very, very easy to do. And I would encourage you all to do that, because if it's for 6 months, it's just wonderful. And those people that I met when I was a teenager, I still regard as family today. And most of them are in Ontario. So, yeah.
Great answer. We're going to go back to the Mathers household for a question. Taylor or Erica?
Oh, no, it's from the senior member in
Oh,
Dundas.
that's okay too.
No, I was wondering, Glyn, how does it work with the guineas and the pounds whenever you're selling?
The guinea is a old English money, and I wish they would give it up. But so a guinea is 105 English pence. So it's like selling. If I came to Canada and I started selling guineas, it would be like 105 cents. It's like a 5% buyer's premium in simple terms. So our business, it used to be that we just kept the guinea, but when I started the business, I didn't think that was enough. I'm greedy. So so we charge a little bit more than that now, but it's like a 5% buyer's premium.
Neat question. Glyn, do you think that your shows are close to happening again now that COVID restrictions in the UK are starting to ease up?
I think they will. I really hope they do. We just passed 60 million vaccinations today. So we've got a large percentage of our country vaccinated, and COVID's no longer spreading. So that's really encouraging. Our national show is destined to take place on the 15th of September, and all the plans are going ahead for that to happen. It's still probably 50-50 whether it will or not, but I really hope, and there's a big desire for it to happen. Most of all the events up until the end of August have all been cancelled, just purely from an organizational point of view. But our national lockdown ends on the 21st of November or 21st of June. So yeah, I think it's been a challenging time, but we're all looking forward to getting out. At the first show, it's going to be like when you let the cows out in springtime, isn't it? It's going to be a mess. Yeah. We're all going to be running around with our tails in the air, aren't we? Yeah.
That is quite possible. Another question here coming in on the chat. You mentioned that you spend some time as a fitter. Can you tell us how you got into fitting cattle, and would you recommend it for young 4-Hers like we have on the line?
Fitting cattle was a great way to see the world. I got to travel, all over, and I got to meet some great people. I'm really grateful for the people that took the time to teach me. The Garner family in Oxford County in Woodstock, I still regard them as family, John and Susan, and I stayed with them but they introduced me to some great people. There was a guy, Brad Showman. He was a fitter at the time. Brad spent a lot of time teaching me, and then I got to go and work at Browndale and Sharon, and I think David Brown was an exceptional cowman, and I got to go. I think you have to do it when you're young, because you quickly get into like a habit of traveling, being away from home, and it's very attractive when you're young, and all of a sudden you realize it's quite a lonely existence, and because you're always traveling, you sort of lose connection with your friends. And I wouldn't advise it if you're going to try to get married and settle down and have a family, because once I had those sort of desires, I realized it wasn't going to work out too well. But it's a wonderful thing to do for any guy or any girl that wants to work with great cattle and travel the world. I was lucky enough to get to go to Australia, New Zealand, and South America, Central America, all over Europe. I think I've had a national champion in almost all the European countries, and you meet people and you make connections. And I would, if you guys do that, make connections with people that if you're going to go be back and be a breeder, make connections that you're going to sell those guys embryos or sell those guys cattle. Because my fitting years, I was fortunate enough to make those connections, and they still have a big influence in my business today.
Great answer. We've got a question from Addison.
Did you get your vaccine yet?
I'm so miffed about that. I should have got my vaccine a month ago, but Dumfries and Galloway, there was a big chunk of people there was one file of people that were come off the system, so I'm getting vaccinated on Saturday. So I'm a month behind. I should have been a little bit more rowdy and asked what's going on, but I'm a shy person. So I get vaccinated on Saturday.
I think Addison's hopeful you're coming back to Canada, so she's encouraging you to get vaccinated soon. Another question coming in here on the chat, maybe a quick one. We have some members on the line from one of our well-known Ontario herds at Altona Lee, and they're wondering if you know the Laird family.
No, I know Colin. I know Alistair and Aileen really well, and Colin's a good friend. And I know the Lairds have had a lot of success over the years with cattle from Canada. I know that they purchased the broker Emma cow from the Altona Lee herd. They've purchased a few other cattle over the years from Ontario. So yeah, I'm very good friends with Colin and his wife Izzy. They've just developed a beautiful new dairy where they're milking with 10 robots. So yeah, they have a beautiful herd of cows. The last cow that they purchased was from Switzerland, and she was an Outwood daughter, and she went on to be a winner in a European show. So the Lurds are great cow people, and I know they really love visiting Canada. And another great cow that came from the Altona Lee herd was a Rudolph Summer cow. That was the last Altona Lee cow to be champion in Scotland. She was champion at the Royal Highland Show in 2004. Yeah, Rudolph Summer. So is there any guys from the any young people from the Altona Lee herd listening in tonight or not?
We do have a few folks, Cooper and Callum. I don't know if you want to turn your camera on and give Glyn a wave.
Hey guys.
Excellent. We have a whole bunch of questions, and we have a bit of a tradition. Oh, the Barkeys say that there's 6 of them listening in tonight. So you have not quite the whole Barkey clan, but quite a few of them. We have a bit of a tradition in our little speaker series that we've had over the last year and starting up tonight, that we like to ask, we save a special question for the end, and it's always about your favorite bull and your favorite cows. So before we let you go there, and I'll let you think about that for a second, Glyn, any last questions from any of our members? Last chance for questions. You can unmute yourself and ask directly, or you can type a last question into the chat. I'm not seeing any, so I think we've answered the tremendous amount of questions, so thank you for that. But we're going to turn it over to you to talk about your favorite bull and also your favorite cow of all time.
I think my favorite bull is Braidale Goldwyn. I think we could probably have this meeting in 20 years' time, and there's probably going to be a Goldwyn winning a show somewhere. Yeah, it's a bull that's been around. I don't know when Goldwyn was born. I think Goldwyn was born in, I forget. I think he was born either in the 90s or right at 2000. And to think that, well, I think he's still bred the most excellent daughters in Canada. He's bred the most excellent daughters in the UK. But everywhere I've been, whether it's Italy or Holland or the UK, or there's been national champions by him all over the world, and incredible cows, just incredible cows. And he was a bull. So I think, and the other reason why I like Goldwyn, he was a bull ahead of his time. Like, they were beautiful medium-sized dairy cows that with just incredible udders, incredible mammary systems. And for a bull of his age and his era to still continue to compete after the breed continues to evolve, he's just an amazing bull. And I don't think we have seen a bull of his ilk come into the breed since the Goldwyn era. So I will always have a very soft place for Braidale Goldwyn. My favorite cow, that's an incredibly difficult one, because I've got so many favorite cows. Yeah, I wish you'd have told me that one before. What's my favorite cow? There's been so many great cows. I like the cows. I like the great cows that have went on to transmit, not just cows that were beautiful show cows and classy, stylish cows, but I really admire the cows that have went on to breed amazing cow families. And probably because of that, I think Tri-Day Ashland, it was an amazing cow. I think she was champion at Madison and the Royal in 2001, and she was probably Encore's best daughter, but an incredibly impressive cow. She was long, and probably today when you see a picture of her, she looks old-fashioned. I wouldn't dispute that, but her daughter, she went on to breed an incredible amount of really high classified daughters. Ambrosia was a 95-point cow. Angel was a 96-point cow, and her daughters continued to breed on as well. So I think she's a special cow, but there's so many special cows. I probably have 20 favorites. It's I don't like naming one.
Well, that's a great answer. It's a test we give all of our speakers, and it's always hard for everybody to pick a favorite cow. So you're not alone in that front. So I think we've reached the end of our meeting. Before I turn it over to one of our 4-H members for a thank you, just again, a reminder to all our leaders across the province, we are going to try to do a few more speaker series meetings. And so if you're interested in continuing to join with us and get together to listen to some interesting speakers from right around the world, we'll keep you posted on the next date and the next speaker and topic that we're looking into. Again, thanks to the Mathers family for connecting us with Glyn tonight. It's been a real treat to have him join us and to share all his knowledge and wisdom with all our 4-H members from right across Ontario and some of our friends from Quebec as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Mitchell Crowley, who's going to thank Glyn on behalf of the group.
So on behalf of all 4-H members from across Ontario and our friends from Quebec, I want to thank you, Mr. Lucas, for joining us to speak about your experience with raising and showing dairy cattle and fitting show cows to look their best, and your experience in auctions and selling dairy cattle. Your enthusiasm for dairy cattle is inspiring, and we all are lucky as 4-H members to hear from you today and answering all of our questions. We learned a lot that we can all use in our 4-H careers. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent. So with that, we'll end the meeting, and I see lots of thanks coming in over the chat. So I'm not sure, Glyn, if you can see that, but huge thanks.
It's nice.
Right from Ontario and Quebec, and we're really delighted to have you joining us. And thanks for all our 4-H members who've joined us as well. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.